Agnes. Story by Jamie James. Father. An angry voice echoed from the entrance hall of my throne room. I looked up in shock and delight, having not heard that voice in many years. The large double door burst open in a dramatic use of magic that brought a tear to my eye. She learned well. My dear Agnes, I smiled at her. It was not returned. She stalked forward, her helmet held under her right arm, her left bearing a shield emblazoned with a tree with 6 white branches, the symbol of the resistance. I sighed. I had my suspicions. Her long black hair was done up in a top knot so it could fit inside her helmet, and her grey eyes burned with rage. A sword that glowed with divine power resisted in a sheath, and I knew she had the means to kill me at her side. "We are here to kill you, father." She spat out the word like it burned her tongue, and that hurt worse than any blade ever could. It was then I noticed her companion. He was small, much smaller than the rumors led me to believe. But there was no mistake that he was the hero that had captured the hearts of the people. His glow was not like that of Agnes, whose spirit shined with red and silver, that of a natural born warrior. No, his glowed green and blue and flower like water. A healer, he bore no sword, but his bow was made from trees older even than myself, and I knew that it too was capable of killing me. The only place where trees that old existed was in the far north, where the enchanters guarded the ancient wood towers jealously. "My daughter, if it is my death you so desired, then you need not a sword," I spoke softly to her. Her eyes narrowed, reminding me so much of her mother it hurt. "Oh," she asked, taking my statement as a challenge. "Tell me, what is it you wish to see me dead? Why is it you wish to see me dead?" I asked, wondering what had to set off the chain of events. "Why?" she demanded. "Why? You're a psychopath. You kill people for no greater reason than you finding them unpleasant. You dethrone kings and take their lands, selling their servants into slavery and killing their livestock to starve their people. You're insane and must be stopped." She unsheathed her sword, ready to charge at me, if I so much as twitched. "I don't deny it," I said, startling her. "But you didn't answer my question. Why do you wish to see me dead?" Empathy is not powerful enough to move someone from a place of comfort and stand against their own father. Pity is not enough to place your life on the line for someone who. What grievous act did I commit that moved you to hate me, my love? She hesitated, looking like she wanted to deny my observation about empathy, but she was too smart for that. Humans were selfish creatures by nature and would always wait for someone else to step up unless they were directly threatened. "I heard what you and Lord Rathor were planning the night that I fled. You told him to send Trinither after me. Your own daughter." For a moment, I was lost what significance that conversation had, but after viewing it from a position without context, I realized that the most colossal misunderstanding of all time had lost me, my daughter. "You thought I sent an assassin after you?" "Thought?" she demanded. "You knew I was to be alone for several hours. What other reason would there be to send your court assassin where there will be no witness? I sighed. You silly girl, Trinitor is your godfather. Her face paled and her sword lowered. Her companion, who had not moved a muscle the entire conversation, not even to shift his weight, instantly ran to her side and caught her under her arms. Good reflexes. He brushed a bit of hair from her eyes, but said nothing, simply staring with worry on his face. She gestured for him to help her up, and he complied so insistently. Next in part 2.